Night City is a beautiful and fast-paced world full of possibilities. It is a city of progress. But beyond that, it is also a place of utter hopelessness. With a huge economic and class difference in its structure, those who aren't lucky enough to be born at the top are subject to the whims of their economic superiors to dehumanizing levels. I've heard at least one person described as a place where it makes almost no sense to not be a criminal. A sentiment that is obvious considering that arguably the most morally unambiguous character, David's mom, has to moonlight as a black market arms dealer who sells tech-off corpses just to give her son a good education. In such a dystopia, there is almost no reason for anyone to try. The only thing that keeps them going is their dreams. But those dreams have an odd way of being burnt out in the world of cyberpunk. And it's because of this that David makes such an interesting protagonist for the series. Not because of his own dreams, but because of his lack of them. David's relationships in the series are defined by how he exists in relation to the dreams of the other characters and the way he's affected by those dreams falling apart. When we first meet David, he's consumed by the dream his mother has for him. David was gifted, a smart kid with a lot of potential even before his compatibility to cybernetics became apparent. And his mom saw that too. Gloria Martinez just wanted the best for her son, and it's clear that the safest lifestyle for anyone in the city, as safe as anyone gets, is to be at the top of the corporate ladder. And ironically, her death proves that. If she'd been given immediate medical attention after her accident, it's more likely than not she would have survived. But the trauma team ignored her because she wasn't a member, and the medical attention she could afford couldn't save her. Her death validates her desire to see her son climb to the top into a better economic class. But unlike his more optimistic mother, David knew he would never be accepted if he climbed out of what was perceived to be his place. Even so, he still tried for her, up until she died and her dream crashed and burned. Maine has a clear ambition for more, to go farther, to get stronger, to push himself. But his organic body had limits that could not be surpassed, not without upgrading himself. One of the first pieces of advice he gives David is to get stronger by implanting tech into himself. It wasn't malicious advice. In fact, in their line of work, it's not even bad advice. But Maine's inability to slow down his race ended him before he could get any closer to finishing it, as he was slowly devolved into a cyber psycho by the tech he relied on to push himself farther, even as he could never cross the line beyond the road of his limits, not like David could. David, with his natural affinity for cybernetics, had so much potential as an edge runner, enough to surpass Maine's limits. So Maine, in his last moments, encouraged David to keep going, to push himself farther and live. Maine passed on his dream to David, still very much an empty vessel without much in the way of his own ambition. But even though David's limits were far beyond Maine's, he still had limits, and as the series goes on and David grows more and more to resemble Maine, he is still on the way to his own cyberpsychosis. He goes farther than Maine ever could. Maine died in a small room facing off against faceless NCPD, Trauma Team, and Max Tack, the biggest accomplishment being the death of a single executive. David died fighting Adam Smasher after fighting his way through the city and to the top of Arasaka, a twisted version of achieving his mom's dream for him, all while rampaging, but he still died all the same. The commonality between these two parental figures in David's life is that they could recognize his talent. He was special in a way that meant he could rise, and so they wanted greatness for him. But it was never a greatness he wanted. He was simply chasing after the dreams given to him by others, the dreams of ghosts. Lucy was a prisoner. She was a prodigy grown and molded by Arasaka, not to be herself, but to be a perfect tool for the corporation, chasing a dream provided to her that would lead to her eventual death. She and the surviving prodigies, once they saw the light, decided to risk death to escape, and in doing so, Lucy managed to get out, at least physically, but mentally she was still trapped in the shadow of Arasaka, afraid of ever dealing with them and getting close in case they were still chasing her. And to accompany that freedom, she got a new dream. She wanted to go to the moon, a dream both wonderful enough to strive for and far away enough to not be reached easily. It was a dream of her own, but she was never really actively making efforts to go there. Rather, she remained stagnant within the city, quietly simmering. And then she found out that David had gotten Arasaka's attention and was jolted into action, because completely separate from whatever dream she had in the future, she had one current ambition: protect what was close to her, protect David. And in doing so, she got too close to Arasaka, close enough to be noticed and captured, so focused on keeping the man she loved out of Arasaka's sight that she wound up pushing everyone away. David, on the other hand, was struck between the dreams of others. Maine and his mom's dreams for his potential, Lucy's dream for the moon, and his one true desire, to not lose her. Both of them found happiness, not in their dreams, but in each other, not looking to the future, but at what they had in the present. But they were unable to fully grasp it because of the past. David's trauma of the deaths of those who wanted the best for him pushed him farther than the limits it turns out he did have, and Lucy's fear of Arasaka hampered her ability to communicate and move forward. They never really managed to fully grasp each other and what they wanted until it was too late, and all David could do was protect Lucy's dream. A dream that just didn't mean as much without him there. And while going to the moon was less harmful than his descent into cyberpsychosis, it still didn't make it any less painful to pursue without him there. Their biggest priorities wound up not being achieving any of their dreams for the future, but saving each other in the present. In a way, it's a perfect encapsulation of everything wrong with Night City. An endless march to the future, passed from one generation to the next. A future that slowly loses its meaning because of the effects of the past and the inability to grasp what's important in the present. Though, if you want to hear about a similarly tragic character with a better grasp on what's important in the present, check out my video on why we love Rebecca. And while you're at it, comment your thoughts on this, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Thank you and good day.